Welcome back to another episode of BSing Sports. It is Ryan, but I do happen to have Bill here with me. Thankfully, we did a time change. I'm going to a friend's house to watch the Cardinals-Phillies game later, so I had to bump the time up as well as the UFC fights tonight. So the time bump actually worked out. So I'm not alone. I do not have to ramble on about baseball by myself and argue with myself for 45 minutes to provide entertainment to you guys. Bill, welcome on. Thanks for joining in during your vacation.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad I had the opportunity to come on. Obviously, I'm not in my normal office. As you guys can all see, I'm on my cell phone. So if the quality is poor, I apologize.
He actually got a green screen. He's in his office.
I'm happy to be on. Glad we could get this episode in.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just get right into it. I was doing some research on, the Phillies season. They've made quite a miraculous comeback from their start. I believe at some point they were 10 games below 500. They're now 4 games above 500, sitting at 41-37. Fresh off a comeback win over the Cardinals last night. Derek Hall with another huge home run. Man's having an outstanding start to his MLB career. Definitely making a place for himself in the lineup when he comes back. Which actually is a bit of a concern. So say Derek Hall does play really well. Bryce Harper comes back. Obviously, Harper has to play somewhere. So there's really 2 outfield spots between Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, and Hall. And obviously there's 4 of them. So who's the odd man out?
I mean, unfortunately, I feel like at this point, just because you spent $25 million a season on Nick Castellanos, that Derek Hall for the time being is the odd man out. Obviously, if he's got 3 hits in 9 or 10 at bats and they're all home runs, you're talking he's hitting 300 with 3 home runs. So I think you find ways to spot start him. Give Rhys Hoskins a spell.
Not a sustainable pace, but
say that again.
Obviously, that's not a sustainable pace.
No, it's definitely not a sustainable pace. But if he continues to be able to put the ball in play and get good opportunities, then maybe you use him to spell Rhys Hoskins here and there, stuff like that, because he was playing first base in AAA. So, yeah, I mean, if he's able to stay relatively hot, hitting the 280, 290 range, I don't see why you eliminate his bat from the lineup. I think you just got to find ways to work around the guys that you have.
You have to get creative incorporating his bat into the lineup. And like I said, obviously, it's not a sustainable pace. The MLB pitching, I'm sure we'll catch up to him, get a scouting report on, but it seems to be hitting off-speed pitches very well, which is a positive sign for a young man like Derek Hall. Yeah, so I kind of agree with your take, but Harper's going to be out for some time, it sounds like. So I don't have a definite time frame. I haven't heard anything. I'm sure you haven't either. I'm pretty sure it's going to be at least 6 weeks, and nobody really wants to come out and say that. So they're just kind of saying, we don't know what his time frame looks like. It's probably 6 weeks. He'll probably be out, well into August, which is fine to me. Give him a little bit of rest. If the Phillies can sustain some sort of success, and then he comes back, that would only make them better. So I'm not super upset about it. Maybe even his elbow will heal in that time frame and he'll be back playing right field again. So we can get Castellanos out of the field. Not that he's done a terrible job, but he's not the fielder that Bryce Harper is. So
correct, yeah. In addition, let's keep in mind that we get Jean Segura back here in the next week or 2. He was supposed to have been out for 6 weeks with his broken hand. He's actually on pace to be back, from what I heard most recently, is in about 2 weeks. And you're talking at the end of August, if they're still in the wild card hunt, you get Harper back, you get Segura back. They're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, they're going to be getting a lot of pieces back. And actually, I was breaking down the stats by position. So the Phillies have the 3rd highest WAR amongst their starting pitchers in the MLB. That's kind of been the strength of the team this year, sitting at a 4.1 wins above replacement, which is a very good number, or wins above average, excuse me. So like if the MLB average is 0.0, the Phillies have 4.1 extra wins because of how good their starting pitching has been compared to the league average. So that's a positive. And to break down some of the other positions, another strong spot for this team, surprisingly, this is going to be a huge shock to some people. The Phillies are 2nd in catching in that category at a 1.4. And I say surprisingly because JT Realmuto has not had the most fantastic of seasons. He's had quite a few errors that are un-JT Realmuto-esque. He's also struggled at the plate quite a bit. He's had little hot streaks here and there, but
I wonder if that's more a testament to how bad catching across the league is versus how good JT Realmuto has been.
Yeah. I mean, JT Realmuto is definitely better than what he's been playing. I'm not one of those guys that's on board with the we need to unload the JT contract. This was bad. So I'm definitely not on board with that. Even Hall of Fame players have had bad seasons, so I'm not too tripping about that. But he's definitely had a down year, and Garrett Stubbs has been an amazing backup. He's kind of like Andrew Knapp was during the shortened season, where Andrew Knapp had that great half third of a year that we played that year, but yeah, he's been fantastic backup JT. Hopefully he can spell him a little bit until JT gets this figured out. But in the meantime, that's just an amazing stat that the Phillies have a 1.4 wins above average at the catching position compared to the rest of the league. So, I mean,
it's an awesome stat. It looks like you're freezing up on me.
Am I?
Yeah, you look better now. It's good. Let's also.
Good thing I'm the host then.
Yeah, right. Let's also keep in mind that since the Philadelphia Phillies moved Corey Knebel out of the closer role, which I'm sure you want to go into a little bit, the Phillies bullpen has been one of the best in baseball as well.
Actually, they are also above average, according to the same stat that I just said. A pedestrian 0.1 wins above average, so 0.0 being the average. They are above average, which is, a surprise to some people. But really, outside of the closer spot where Knebel struggled, here and there, they really haven't pitched all that bad. If you take Knebel's blown saves and Jose Alvarado out of the equation altogether, they've all pitched pretty well for the most part. Brad Hand's ERA is sitting at a 2.2. Sir Anthony Dominguez is sitting at, around a 2. Even Jeurys Familia, who's gotten roughed up a couple of outings, he's been solid for the most part this year. So I think the Phillies bullpen altogether has pitched pretty well this year without, with the few blemishes that they've had.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. It got to the point when Knebel was pitching the ninth inning that he was in the bullpen and we were pretty much giving up on the game. That's how bad he had been at the one point in time. However, in his setup role, he's been significantly better. His curveball looks a lot crisper. His fastball's got a little bit more life to it. I think he just lost confidence in himself and he never got it back, and now he's starting to gain it back.
Yeah, if you pitch him in those, even the high leverage situations, like in the 7th inning, that's different than the 9th, because in the back of your mind, okay, we have some time. Should I screw this up? So it's free and easy. But, pitching 9th inning high leverage situations is always probably going to be the toughest scenario in baseball. So just to get him out of that role, get him his confidence back, like you said, get his mindset right, that's a big key. And that's a big piece for this Phillies team. However, I am glad that they did move to Brad Hand. He seems like he's going to be the closer going forward. I know a lot of people wanted Sir Anthony because he was pitching very well, but let's not forget that Sir Anthony was out for 2 years. And we experimented him in the closer's role at one point before he got hurt, and it didn't go so well. So some people have it, some people don't.
Yeah, exactly. I was one of those people who were advocate for like a 9th inning by committee situation, keeping Knebel out of it. But Hand has really done a great job, and I think you're right. I think they should just roll with Brad Hand to move forward.
Yeah, another interesting stat is the Phillies are one of 6 teams going by the same numbers that I was just talking about, wins above average, or really just above league average. They're one of 6 teams where their ERA is below the league average and their batting average is above team average. The one stat that, you look at teams like this, they're pitching really well, catching's obviously been well, they're both hitting well and pitching well according to league average. Why are they only 4 games above 500? The big stat that I saw for the Phillies is they have hit into the 5th most double plays in all of baseball.
Well, yeah, I feel like
there's nothing more of a rally killer than hitting into a double play.
I feel like we see one almost every game from the Phillies, and it's always in like a high-pressure situation. Say it again?
They've hit into 61 double plays this year.
That's a lot. How many games have they played?
Seeing as they're 41 and 37, I'd say 78 games, and they've grounded into 61 double plays.
It's a lot of double plays.
That is a lot of double plays. The league average right now is 53.
Random fun fact, talking about a lot of things. Joey Gallo struck out 32 times this past June, which is kind of an interesting stat because Tony Gwynn struck out 27 times in the final 3 seasons of his career.
Yeah, I saw that stat too. How amazing is that? Like, that's mind-blowing. That just goes to show you the game of baseball is ever-changing, man. And as far as OPS plus goes, which is a stat that accounts for the ballpark that you play in, it kind of there are hitter-friendly ballparks, there are pitcher-friendly ballparks. So OPS plus is a stat that accounts for the ballpark that you're playing in, and it kind of just like encompasses all the hitting stats into it. So 100 is the average for that, and the Phillies are the 8th best in the league in that stat. They're well above league average. So the Phillies are hitting well in general. They just ground into a lot of rally-killing double plays. So
Yeah,
when you look at things like runners in scoring position, that's probably why they look a little unsuccessful in those scenarios, because they ground into a lot of double plays. They're not really a bad hitting team.
I wonder, of all those double plays, how many Castellanos or Realmuto, just the two of them, have grounded into? So those 61, how many?
I know Castellanos has to have at least 8. I'm going to look that up right now. I bet you he has grounded into at least 8 double plays.
It's got to be at least 8. I would agree with that. And Realmuto's got to be somewhere around 6 or 7. I feel like the two of them combined have got to be, let's call it a quarter of our
pedestrian. Yeah, Castellanos' OPS plus that we've just talked about is 91. Dude, Nick Castellanos has grounded into 9 double plays this year.
Look up Realmuto, because I'm sure he's grounded into quite a few as well. Unfortunately, I don't have the access of my extra computer and stuff. I'm, again, on my cell phone. So Ryan's going to be the fact checker today.
That's fine. I mean, that's mind blowing for somebody who's supposed to be a fly ball hitter and good with runners in scoring position. That's mind blowing. JT Realmuto has only grounded into 4 double plays this year.
Okay.
I kind of knew that his might not be as bad, just because it seems like for Realmuto, his strikeout totals seem to be a little bit up this year. 60 strikeouts in 68 games, so that is a little high for him. But that's about par for the course, So I guess he just doesn't have it this year. I don't know what the case may be. Looking at his career trends, it's about par for the course there. So who really knows? He'll figure it out, though. I think I have faith that JT can turn it around, because he seems like one of those guys that mentally kind of stays locked into the game. He doesn't take the last at bat with him to the field, or, something from the field to the last at bat. He just seems to be struggling right now.
Yeah, he's a true veteran. True veterans are able to do that. They're able to leave the plate at the plate and the fielding in the field. And I mean, he's going to have to be, if his average stays around the 219, 220 area, he's going to have to be like really, really mentally strong to not take it out on the field and start sailing balls over second base when guys are stealing, or just not catching the ball when he needs to be catching the ball. But that's like a true veteran situation there. And if you want to pull up that comment that Ken just made.
Well, that and fun fact, he still leads the league. Not the NL, the league, in caught stealing percentage. So at least some part of Realmuto is there. At a 47% clip, they've stolen 16 bases on him. He's caught 14 people. So
it's also worth noting that we haven't even gotten to the All-Star break, so we're not technically halfway through the season yet. And the Phils 4 games above 500. They played 19-8 ball in June. I know that the Braves were better somehow.
That's insane. If your team goes 19-8 in June and loses 2 games of ground to the team in front of them, that's nuts. However, they're both catching the Mets, and they both managed to make up ground. That's all. They're 7.5 games behind the Mets now. I remember a season 2007, they were 7 games. I'm not saying that that's going to happen again, but there's a hell of a lot more time in the season now than there was at that point in time, and they managed to catch the Mets. Anything can happen in baseball. It's why you play the games.
That's right. And for what it's worth, the Mets have kind of sort of teetered and started going like 500 ball down the stretch here, while the Phillies and Braves obviously are 2-3 games above 500 in that time. If you're looking at like
Phillies are undefeated in July. Just saying.
The Phils are undefeated in July. That is correct. Let's see if they can do it again, 6 in a row. All right, to start the month, that'd be nice.
Yeah. Speaking of the Atlanta Braves, the Freddie Freeman story that came out and why he fired his agent, that is unbelievable. I don't think I'm sure that's probably happened before, but it's rare that you probably see the team, the previous team, tell them, hey, we made this offer, and obviously Braves management had let Freddie know, hey, we made this offer as our final offer that Freddie Freeman was not made aware of by his agent. So let me backtrack for those of you following or don't know what happened. Freddie Freeman fired his agent over the weekend. because the Dodgers returned to Atlanta, where obviously Freddie played most of his career at this point. He's a hometown hero. So the Dodgers returned to Atlanta, and Freddie Freeman was given his World Series ring. And at that time, he was told by the Braves management receiving his World Series ring, hey, we made this final offer to you in free agency. And as you all know, Freddie Freeman now plays for the Dodgers. Well, Freddie Freeman's agent did not make it aware to Freddie that the Braves had made that final offer because the Dodgers were offering more money. The agents get a portion of the contract, a percentage. Like, hey, if you make $30 million a year, I get like 10% of that, whatever the case may be. The agents have a set number that they make, so they're always trying to get their clients the most money. Freddie Freeman would have absolutely taken that hometown discount, as he came out and pretty much said that he would have taken that hometown discount just by firing his agent. And now it's an awkward situation, because looking at it now, Freddie Freeman would have wanted to be a Brave. That was not the case all along. He just wanted to be paid a little bit more fairly, and that he would have in fact given him a hometown discount. What do you make of the situation?
Well, I mean, the first thing you think about is the picture of like all the Dodgers on the bottom row of the steps, like in the ninth inning against the Braves, and they're like excited because the game is going well for them, but Freddie Freeman is sitting back on the bench by himself. I mean, a picture tells 1,000 words. And what that told was, while I'm sure he's excited to be a Dodger. I'm sure he is, because I mean, he's got another opportunity to title in that uniform. It's just extremely, like, I guess he's obviously put out about it. He's upset. He's pissed off. He fired his agent. And from a fan standpoint, if I'm a Braves fan, I'd be calling for his agent's head.
I'm curious as to which other players are represented by that agent. And now I'm wondering if those players are going to kind of look at that guy like, do you really have my best interest in mind? Because that's really what the players are looking for, an agent to represent their best interest. Yeah,
and I mean, for all we know, this guy could be out of business very quickly if it comes out that Freddie Freeman's not the first person that he's done it to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's happened before. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that just other teams don't end up revealing what their final offer was. But I'm sure it's happened before, and this is an unprecedented situation because I've never seen this before. However, Freddie Freeman is a consummate professional who the day after, yeah, I'm mad about it too, buddy. Freddie Freeman is a
So Freddie Freeman is a constant professional, and the next day he came out and he thanked the Braves organization yet again about everything that he was able to do in the Braves with his time in Atlanta. And then Ryan can finish. Oh, nope, still talking to the dog. And he's obviously come out and said that he's happy to be a Dodger, but there's got to be some lingering feelings there for Freddie. Obviously, he wanted to be in Atlanta. It's obvious that he wanted to be in Atlanta, and Ryan can go into it more a little bit.
Yeah, so he's a consummate professional who the night after finding out that he was robbed by his agent went like 3 for 4 and hit a home run. Like this guy separates baseball from not baseball. To be able to do that, to be able to feel all those emotions, like, hey man, I was robbed of staying in my hometown, and then to come out and play, a great game like that against that same team, it speaks volumes. That's just a guy about his business. That's a great ball player. Curious as to where the rest of his career leads him. But question, what team has hit 3 grand slams in one game? I have no idea.
I'm going to say the Minnesota Twins. I don't know why. It's just like ringing a bell, like the Torrey Hunter days.
I would say St. Louis.
Maybe St. Louis? Okay. Why don't you Google that real quick? Let's see which one of us is right, or even close. While Ryan Googles that. No, we got the answer. Apparently it is the Yankees. Are you sure the Yankees are the only team that's ever done it? Because I've remember distinctly Torrey Hunter hitting 2 grand slams in the same inning.
That was not Torrey Hunter. That was Fernando Tatis Sr.
You sure they both didn't do it?
Fernando Tatis Sr. is the only person that's done it.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely the Yankees. I just Googled it. That's what came up.
There you go. You got us. Way to stump us.
I mean, that's not a surprising answer either, but that would be almost too obvious.
I didn't want to go with the super obvious answer, but next time I will.
Yeah, the other team in the back of my head was the Padres. But anyway, moving on to the rest of the major leagues. We have talked about the Phillies acquiring some pitching, and obviously, as we just pointed out, that doesn't seem to be their necessity at the moment. But every team needs pitching. Injuries happen, and you can never have too much pitching depth. A name that we have brought up on this show several times is Shane Bieber. However, the Cleveland Guardians cannot seem to lose. They're 5 games above 500 right now. They're second in their division, which is kind of a surprise to me. I thought for sure they were going to tank. They are one of the other 6 teams that is both above the MLB average in batting average and below the MLB average in ERA. So I knew that they would kind of be below average in ERA. They have a very good pitching staff. However, I did not think that they would hit this well. So we'll see where the second half of the season takes them. But for now, it seems like that the Cleveland Guardians are going to be in competing mode.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing for us because we were looking forward to getting Shane Bieber. There are some other teams who have.
I would take anybody from that staff. Civil, Plesac.
There are some other teams who have some pitchers that are going to be available on teams that aren't really competing. I mean, you're talking about the Diamondbacks not really competing, but they've got who is it? Plesac, who's pitching to a 3.1 ERA right now.
No, that Plesac pitches for the Indians. You're probably talking about Gallen.
Maybe somebody on the Diamondback staff is pitching pretty well this season, and they're not exactly in compete mode right now. So they could be shipping a pitcher out. The Phillies should be looking in that direction. The issue the Phillies are dealing with is they don't have a whole lot of stuff to use as bait. Mickey Moniak has been disappointing since he's come back. Bryson Stott, we're not getting rid of.
Looking at that breakdown of numbers that I've seen again, one of the worst positions for the Phillies in terms of wins above average is the bench. They're negative 0.3. So they're having struggles pinch hitting. That being said, I saw something earlier today that the Padres are looking to offload or move the contracts of Will Myers or Eric Hosmer. Will Myers has been a great disappointment in his MLB career because he was a very highly sought-after prospect in the initial James Shields trade between Tampa and Kansas City. He was the big piece there. He just has not panned out. However, he has at times shown flashes enough that maybe he could make a good utility player. He also plays first base, every outfield position, and might be able to get taught how to play the infield. So he provides positional depth as well. Is that a name that the Phillies should be looking to go after?
We got guys who've shown flashes, so I'm not in on the Will Myers. We already have guys who have shown flashes but haven't been able to put it together consistently throughout an entire season. So
not as a starter, but I mean for a team looking for bench depth,
As bench depth, yeah, I could see Will Myers being a piece.
Hosmer obviously have to eat a large portion of the contract.
Yeah, I feel like Hosmer would be a better option because you're really just looking for a bat off the bench.
Yeah, but Hosmer's positional availability is limited too. He only plays first base.
We already got one of those. Well, 2 of them technically with Derek Hall on the roster.
Yeah, so it's interesting. When you're looking at bench guys, you're looking for flexibility too. Stott plays second through third. He also plays short. Camargo plays everywhere. They have flexibility, and then your outfielders obviously play all outfield positions. But you're looking for flexibility when you go for bench pieces like that. And Will Myers, I guess, brings more flexibility to it.
That's true. I think really they need to be looking for either, again, starting pitching or center fielder.
They got to look for something cheap at this point. Center field has surprisingly not been their worst stat according to wins above average, worst position according to wins above average.
I'm sorry, say that one more time. I was distracted.
The Phillies' worst position is not center field according to wins above average.
How is that possible?
It's third base.
Bohm commits a lot of errors.
Bohm came out on fire with the bat, but was terrible defensively. He had that 3-error game. And then he cooled off significantly with the bat. And
it's still committing errors.
Yeah, he still commits some errors here and there. Stott's played some third base, and he has not, been fantastic this year. Camargo's played third base, and he's a bench player. So, I mean, they really haven't gotten a whole lot of production out of third base if you think about it.
I just feel like center field is a combined like 125 or not ERA batting average right now. That's extremely low for me. Even with as much as Bohm has cooled off, at least Bohm is still hitting in a 256, 259, something like that.
Frankie, you must have been watching this show before, dude. I've been saying this for a while now. I really think Rhys Hoskins, needs to go. Like, in all honesty, I'm so tired of Verling played third base last night. That's a fun fact. Verling played both corner infield positions and all outfield positions in college when he was at Notre Dame.
Yeah, Verling has been like a diamond in the rough there. He's really stepped up.
He's come on since the beginning. Everybody kind of was like, "Oh, get him out of here," and he's still young. He's like 24.
Yeah, and he's one of those super utility pieces, as you've already pointed out, that we really need to keep on the roster, keep on the bench. The issue I think we have is that we have two of them in Verling and Camargo. I don't think you need both.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think that Rhys Hoskins is a fit for this team anymore. We need to find, like you said, we have guys that have shown flashes that doesn't work out. We need more consistency at this point. And there definitely be teams that would look for Rhys Hoskins. I think he has one more year of arbitration eligibility left, so he comes relatively cheap in the wallet. And he's produced at times. When he gets hot, he's really hot. It's just I'd rather have Alec Bohm at first base and try and figure something else out. Especially because if Hoskins has value on the trade market or something.
I mean,
it's funny. I almost said the same thing, and then I realized everybody is a DH team. I almost said the same thing. I almost said send him to an AL team, but I'm glad I didn't say that. But
really, if you're ready to move off now, listen, Hoskins is hitting like what is it?
Like 220.
He's hitting like 380 in his last 30 games. And this is the streaky Rhys Hoskins that we are constantly talking about. In his last 30 games, he's hitting I think it's like 350. They showed the stat on the screen last night with like 8 home runs and 20 some odd RBIs. Now is the time to sell. Like, sell him now, go get something, because Bohm can play first base. And worst case scenario, Stubbs can catch, JT can play first base. And
Stock can play third.
Exactly. So I think the time to sell Hoskins, if you're going to sell him, is now. Not continue to try and ride him till he's cold, because then he's cold. Get rid of him now. Get something that maybe you're going to have to eat some contract on, but could be helpful in the long run. If you like Will Myers, or try and go find a pitcher from one of these staffs that's really struggling, and go that route. That's the route that I would go.
Yeah, I think that if they want to be serious contenders, I think they should sell Rhys Hoskins at the deadline and go get pieces that they need. I think that they could get similar production by moving Stott to third, or some combination of Camargo and Stott to third and moving Bohm over to first. I think I think you'd get very similar production at that point. Maybe not from a power standpoint, but the one thing that Bohm always does well is hit with runners in scoring position. So if he's not doing anything else right, that he's gonna hit with runners in scoring position.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor and look up how many solo home runs versus with runners on home runs Rhys Hoskins has this season? Because I feel like every time he hits a home run, it's with nobody on.
That's an extensive stat, but
it should be easy enough. Frank, help us out. But I feel like every time I see Rhys Hoskins hits a home run, nobody's on base. You got the Schwarbers, who's super hot right now. Let's hope he stays hot. And then hitting bombs with people on, with people not on, like whatever it is. Kyle Schwarber seems to be just hitting bombs. And then I know that Hoskins follows Schwarber in the lineup, so that kind of is an interesting situation. You can't always blame it on Hoskins for not hitting when people are in scoring position or on base. But I just feel like every time Rhys Hoskins hits a home run, it's with the bases empty. And I wonder if he's got a different approach with the bases empty versus with somebody on base, and how he can adjust to that.
Rhys Hoskins has struck out 81 times in 77 games.
He's also played 77 games. JT Realmuto having played significantly less games because he's a catcher. Now, I'm not defending Rhys Hoskins. That's a lot of strikeouts. You need to stop striking out.
Yeah. OPS plus is 134, though. So, naturally he's doing okay. But
That's the point we're both trying to make, though, is sell now. Like, now's the time to go.
Yeah, because he's going to get cold again.
It's historic. It's every single season. He goes really, really hot, goes really, really cold. It's just something that basically, it's like Thanos. It's inevitable, right?
And then he died.
Well, Rhys doesn't have to be a Philly anymore. Same situation, right?
That's true. Trying to break this down, but I mean, I can look at it later. I can post something on Twitter or something. But,
yeah, that's fine. It's a good question. We'll figure it out later. Ryan and I are constantly, even if we're not doing the podcast, we're constantly in contact with each other.
But yeah, so I think Rhys Hoskins' time to sell is now. 10 bombs, 4 solo.
I mean, if Rhys Hoskins hits 50 bombs this season, he's not hitting 50. I'm not even going to finish that. He's not hitting 50.
Yeah, I think he's at the peak of his hot streak, though. So he's going to go cold. Yep, right. It's like the stock market. Always needs correction.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for finding that for us, Frankie.
I don't know how you found that so fast. We'll have to
how many? Well, now I want to know how many home runs Schwarber's on pace for.
I mean, he has more home runs than Rhys Hoskins, so it's probably a lot more than 50.
Well, that's assuming that Schwarber goes completely cold. That's why I'm sorry. I'm talking to Frankie here. And he says, should Rhys hit the 50 home runs, it'll be the first Philly since Chocolate Bear. Ryan Howard hit 58 in 2006. Wait,
hold on. How's he on pace for 50 home runs if we're about halfway through the season and he's only hit 16 for the season?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I think Schwarber might be closer on pace to 50 because what's he got, 22?
Yeah, he has 22 after the one last night.
He has 23. I think he actually leads the NL in home runs.
I kind of wish I had my setup and I could be Googling shit with you guys.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of leading the NL, Paul Goldschmidt is on some kind of other planet. First in the NL in average, first in the NL in on-base percentage, first in the NL in OPS, first in the NL in everything pretty much, and he's a former Gold Glove winner. Goldschmidt, I mean, with Harper being out, Goldschmidt is now like the clear-cut NL MVP frontrunner.
I would agree with that with Harper being out.
I think even given the amount of time Harper's going to miss, if Goldschmidt can avoid an injury and just play good baseball the rest of the year, I think that it's his, if the Cardinals make the playoffs, it's his award to lose.
I would agree with that. Little tidbit of information and facts that we got to spread. Nolan Arenado hit for the cycle last night against the Philadelphia bullpen because we were in a bullpen game. So Nolan Arenado hits for the cycle. And as Ryan already pointed out, come from behind win 5-3 over the Cardinals anyway. So it was all for naught, but it's still a nice stat for Nolan Arenado to hit for the cycle. And really, I'm not entirely sure he would have hit for the cycle. I think Vierling doesn't sail that ball over first base. They probably get him out. But
yeah, I'm surprised that they ruled that a single. I think they ruled that a single simply for the fact that he needed a single to hit for the cycle. But
I also think it was a judge's skew. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. Definitely a little bit awkward there. How much more time you got left, Bill?
5 minutes.
Okay. What you got?
Not a whole lot of stuff. Around the league, Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani combined for combined for 6 RBI or 4 RBIs apiece the other night.
Shohei went 3 for 3 and Mike Trout hit a home run and the Angels lost 11-4.
Yeah, that's the one I was bringing up. That's accurate. Yes.
That's so bad. Oh, man. For a team that spends a lot of money, they can't get it right for shit.
Something's got to give for them, right? They've been doing it for years, spending money and losing, spending money and losing, spending money and losing. The surprise that Ken is talking about is that I flew home to New Jersey to surprise my family for 4th of July, which is where I'm at right now. I'm at my sister and my brother-in-law's house outside enjoying what feels like really hot weather.
If I could get my mom to buy into the fact that I have a big old puppy that just loves people, I would have been home too.
I understand.
Yeah, but I have a big old puppy that excessively loves people, sometimes a little bit too much.
He'll learn. He'll be okay. Some other fun facts from around the league real quick.
Some other fun facts around the league real quick. It's really exciting to actually watch the Phillies again. Like I'm going to a buddy's house to watch the UFC fights tonight, but since I touched on beforehand, he's a Cardinals fan and I'm a Phillies fan. I'm actually going to go take time out of my day to go watch the baseball game with him.
Yeah, you know what? I'm with you. I've watched a lot of last year. I kind of turned the Phillies off after about a month and a half in. Year before, probably even quicker, and year before, even quicker than that. But I've watched just about every game. I don't always watch it with sound, but I have like a 2 TV set up in my living room, and I have them on silent in the corner so I can still see what's going on. It's beginning to be real exciting to be a Phillies fan again, and I look forward to it continuing here in the next couple of months.
Aaron Nola. Let's talk Aaron Nola real quick. Aaron Nola, outside of the Giants start, and then his very last start in June, which wasn't even really that bad, sitting at a 3.13 ERA. He got off to got off on the wrong foot to start the season, but since like May, he's been pitching great. Which Aaron Nola is the real Aaron Nola? Is Aaron Nola riding one of those Rhys Hoskins-esque hot streaks, or are we starting to see some real pitching from this guy?
I think we're starting to see smarter pitching from this guy. His stuff never really – he didn't lose life on his fastball. His curveball was still breaking really well. His changeup was still really nasty. He just wasn't locating, and I think he was throwing the wrong pitches in the wrong situations. I think we're seeing smarter pitching from Aaron Nola. He's not throwing that curveball up 0-2 in the count and leaving it hanging over the middle of the plate. He's really going to his changeup when he's up ahead in the count, which is smart. And he's using the curveball to get first and third strike swinging pitches. Which is important, which is stuff he had gotten away from last year when he had that exploded 4.44 ERA. So I think for Aaron Nola, just continuing to be smart and pitching smart is more than the ability that he has on hand.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for Aaron Nola is fastball location. He's never been one to walk a lot of guys. But, he's thrown a lot more quality strikes this year, not strikes in the middle of the zone. He's finding the edge with his fastball. He's setting up a lot of his other pitches better than he was. I think Aaron Nola is a solid number 2 to 3 on any team. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would actually still say Cole Hamels is probably better because outside of that 2009 season, I would take Hamels. Hamels was a very consistent pitcher. He was on the same level pretty much all season outside of a couple starts here and there. He pitched very well all season for the most part. But yeah, Aaron Nola, going into his last start, second innings pitch, second in strikeouts. He's been fantastic so far this year. So, and I think he's top 5 in walks as well. Like I said, he's always been a good strike thrower. He's just throwing a lot more quality strikes now. So good for Aaron Nola having this rebound season. I think it's a key piece. And I think he's feeding off the rest of the staff too, where Rangers not as where he was last year. The rest of the staff is pitching very well. Eflin's had a lot of good outings. Gibson's been kind of up and down, but Wheeler's been Wheeler. Ranger's been coming into his own after the start of the season. So they're pitching well collectively.
I think what Aaron's doing really well this season that he wasn't able to do last season and to start this season is he's still giving up home runs, but he's shaking them off. Last year, he'd give up a home run, and then it would be like quicksand. He just couldn't dig himself out. And this year, he gets
on base too.
There are less people on base. So he's giving up home runs, but it's solo. And then he's really good at pitching around guys who've gotten on base for not Aaron Nola faults, like errors and fielding mishaps and stuff like that maybe aren't necessarily labeled as errors. And Nola is able to, again, he's mentally strong is super important in the position that Aaron Nola is in. And I think he's really starting to come into his own there.
Yeah. I actually kind of think I'm going to bring this comment up real quick. So I think I always reference, Cole Hamels syndrome. And Cole Hamels was notorious, especially toward the back end of his tenure here when the Phillies started to go downhill as an organization, for losing a lot of games 1-0, 2-1. I mean, he just never got any run support. It was criminally embarrassing how bad the offense would be when he would pitch. And that's what happens when you line up your number one against the other team's number one is sometimes, especially with a weak offense, you're going to get dominated. You're going to get run over. Aaron Nola, I think here and there kind of has Cole Hamels syndrome. I think it's really high or really low for him in terms of his run support. Last game, he gave up 4 runs, but the Phillies scored 11.
Yeah, exactly. Take the last 2 starts into account. He pitches 7 shutout or 7 one-run innings against the Padres, gets zero run support, gives up 4 runs against the Braves, and the Phillies get hit 11. I mean, it's really, really up and down, and there's no in between. There's no consistency. So Aaron Nola himself has to remain consistent.
Yeah. So that being said, I'm going to let Bill go hang out with his family. It's the first time he's seen his family in quite some time. We're going to wrap up this show here. Thank you all for coming out. I know it was a bit of a shorter episode, and we would have loved to have had you on longer. However, life is, and we have, things to do besides talk sports, believe it or not. So thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for another great episode of BSing Sports, Bill.
Thanks for joining us here at BSing Sports, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports.
Amen to that.